Marry me! Marcus loomed over her desk like a thundercloud, his voice carrying the weight of authority that came with being CEO. To hell with everything. I'm divorcing my wife and we'll be happy together. Mark, stop with the stupid jokes. Victoria rubbed the bridge of her nose wearily, wishing she could be anywhere but here. You know perfectly well I don't break up families. And don't forget we're at work, and you're my boss. So what? He perched on the edge of her desk, his knee casually brushing against her shoulder. We've known each other since high school. Remember how I was head over heels for you in senior year, and since then we've never. I remember, stop, I remember, and I also remember how you married Katie, whose daddy owns that construction empire right after graduation. She cut him off moving away. You have two kids, Mark. Without a father-in-law like that, you'd still be mixing concrete at construction sites. Let's not go there. This game had been going on for years, ever since she got promoted to department head at the firm where her high school classmate Marcus has walked his way up to CEO. Every day brought hints, touches, and now this direct proposition. Try figuring out if it's a joke or not. Oh, come on, Vicky, it's not like you have a family of your own anyway. He hissed through his teeth, straightening up. Being single at 30 isn't normal. Where else will you find a man who can provide for you? Victoria waited until the door closed behind him before allowing herself to cry. She checked her phone. Mom had called. No doubt with another lecture about her biological clock ticking. The Friday evening was raw and chilly. Victoria trudged home, laden with bags from the supermarket. One held a bottle of wine and a sushi container, the traditional weekend kit for a single woman. The other contained groceries for the week ahead. Maybe Marcus is right. The treacherous thought flickered. 30 is really a milestone. It seemed like just yesterday she was 25, with the whole world at her feet. Successful career, her own place, a car, second-hand but still hers. She was quite a catch. Men buzzed around her like bees around honey, but she kept choosing, watching, waiting for that special one. The bag treacherously split, and oranges rolled across the icy sidewalk. Damn, damn! She tried to hold the bag while not dropping the other one. Let me help. A pleasant male voice sounded nearby. Fox, sit. A huge black Doberman obediently froze next to his owner, while he collected the runaway fruit. Thank you, Victoria mumbled, studying her unexpected savior. Tall, athletic, with kind brown eyes and light stubble on his chin. Daniel, he introduced himself, taking both bags. Allow me to walk you home. Judging by the amount of groceries you live nearby. My name is Victoria, she smiled. In the next building. Is this your dog? He's gorgeous. I don't think I've seen him in our neighborhood before. You know, Fox isn't exactly my dog. I'm a professional dog trainer. I work with service dogs for police and private security companies. He's just staying with me today. That's how their romance began. Swift, bright, like a roller coaster ride. Daniel turned out to be not just a good dog trainer, but an incredibly sensitive person. He lived with his mother in the next block, and that evening he was just walking a client's dog. Fate? Maybe. Victoria was walking on air. For the first time in a long while, she felt truly alive, desired, loved. Now, when Daniel walked her home from work, Marcus' lustful gaze no longer bothered her. She learned to answer it with a consenting smile. Daniel was attentive, caring, with an excellent sense of humor. Every conversation with him turned into a little adventure. He could tell stories in such a way that even the simplest tale about dog training sounded like a thrilling thriller. The only thing that slightly worried her was his special relationship with his mother. Mom is an amazing woman, he would say tenderly. She dedicated her whole life to me. never remarried after divorce and death. She even got Charlie just for my sake, so she'd have a reason to call me over and spend more time together. Victoria listened and felt a vague uneasiness stirring deep inside, but love overshadowed all concerns, especially when after 6 months the pregnancy test showed 2 lines. And now she stood before her future mother-in-law's apartment door, feeling like she was about to take an exam. She wore a new dress, bought specially for this occasion, and shoes that cost half of her monthly bonus. Daniel squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Don't worry, Mom can be strict, but she's fair." The door opened, and an elegant woman in her mid-50s appeared, with perfect hair and flawless makeup. Her gaze, sharp as a surgeon's scalpel, instantly dissected Victoria's from head to toe. At her feet, a tiny Yorkshire Terrier immediately erupted into piercing barks at the sight of the visitor. "Charlie, quiet!" commanded the owner, but without much strictness. "So, this is her, the one who stole my boy's heart? I hope, darling, you understand what a treasure you've gotten your hands on." While Tamara Patterson delivered this phrase with a smile that sent chills down Victoria's spine, the little terrier had managed to sneak up to her new shoes and sink its sharp teeth into the heel. "Charlie, no!" Daniel exclaimed, but it was too late. The perfect leather was hopelessly ruined. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Tamara drawled with poorly concealed pleasure. "He's just so playful. Well, come in, daughter-to-be." At that moment, Victoria realized her life would never be the same. Whether this meeting would lead to a happy marriage or catastrophe, she couldn't even imagine it, especially under the triumphant barking of the little flurry bandit who seemed to have already declared war on her. "Don't you dare call my son Danny," Tamara's voice rang like a taut string. "His name is Daniel Alexander." Victoria slowly counted to 10 before responding. 2 months after meeting her mother-in-law, she had almost gotten used to her quirks during her frequent and imposing visits, but today she had outdone herself. "Mrs. Patterson," she said as calmly as possible, Daniel Alexander and I are married. I'm carrying his child. Can't I use an endearing name for my husband?" "You can, darling, you can." Her mother-in-law adjusted the lace doily on the coffee table, "but not so familiarly. Daniel is a beautiful name. Or Dan, even Danny boy." Charlie, dozing on his owner's lap, opened one eye and yapped spitefully, as if agreeing with every word. "Mom, really?" Daniel intervened, looking up from his laptop. "Does it matter what she calls me?" "It does." Tamara stood up abruptly, causing Charlie to jump down to the floor, disgruntled. "I didn't raise you alone for some—" She didn't finish. Victoria suddenly turned pale and darted to the bathroom. Morning sickness, damn it. Choose the most inconvenient moments. "Oh, good Lord, what a sickly and helpless wife you've got!" carried from the living room over the sound of running water. Victoria slid down the wall to sit on the edge of the bathtub. One thought keeps spinning in her head. And this is just the beginning. Things weren't going smoothly at work either. Marcus, upon learning of her marriage and pregnancy, seemed to have gone off the deep end. "So, you said yes right away to some flea-bitten dog trainer," he pissed, pressing her against the wall in an empty corridor. "While you kept me hanging all this time?" "Mark, let it go." She tried to twist away. "You're hurting me. This is crossing all lines." "Oh, hurting?" he smirked. "This isn't hurting, yes. We'll see how you think when you get a layoff notice instead of your bonus. You're going on maternity leave soon, right? And wouldn't you know it, we're optimizing our stuff." The inevitable scandal was prevented by his secretary bursting into the corridor with urgent documents. Marcus instantly transformed into the courtroom's boss, while Victoria hurried to escape to her office. That evening she sat in the kitchen, absently stroking her belly and staring out the window. Outside a dreary rain was falling, as grey and gloomy as her mood. The sound of the front door opening broke the silence. Daniel was home. "Honey, I'm home," his voice called out. "I have a surprise for you." Oh no. Victoria had time to think, hearing the click of claws on the hardwood floor. "Meet Luna." Daniel entered the kitchen, leading a magnificent white Swiss shepherd on a leash. Her owner left for a long business trip, and I was offered to board her. Can you imagine? She's great with kids. It will be perfect. "No," Victoria said quietly but firmly. "What?" He stopped, bewildered. "I said no. We have a small apartment. I'm pregnant. Your mother with her Charlie is constantly here. I'm already getting headaches from them. And now you want to bring in this?" She broke off, seeing the sadness in her husband's eyes. "You knew I was a dog trainer. Dogs are part of my life," he said quietly. "I knew, but I didn't sign up to live in a kennel," she burst out. "I'm having problems at work. Your mother hates me. Her dog has chewed up my second pair of shoes. And now you've brought home this." Luna, as if understanding she was being discussed, whimpered softly and pressed against Daniel's leg. "Okay," he turned toward the door. "I get it. Come on, beautiful. We'll find you another temporary home." When the door closed behind them, Victoria burst into tears. What's happening to her life? When did everything go sideways? And most importantly, how to fix it all now? Her phone chipped with an incoming message. It was her mother-in-law. "Darling, expecting you tomorrow for family dinner. We need to discuss how you plan to raise my grandchild. And yes, Charlie misses your new pumps." Victoria looked at her phone screen, then at her barely shown belly, and suddenly laughed through her tears. It seemed it was time to show the snake pit who the real boss was. After all, she hadn't walked her way up to a department head at 30 for nothing. "Dan, we need money." Victoria put an empty wallet on the table. "The last $100 went to groceries." Her husband squirmed in his chair, not taking his eyes off the laptop. "Well, I should get paid for training that shepherd next week." "Next week?" She ran her hand over her imagined bump. "What are we going to eat this week? Air?" "Oh, don't be dramatic." Daniel finally looked up from the screen. We can borrow from Mom." Victoria closed her eyes and slowly counted to 10. For 2 weeks she had been playing this act, the exemplary housewife, obedient wife, a daughter-in-law on maternity leave from work. In reality, she had just taken vacation time and an additional month of unpaid leave. She needed this experiment to see how her husband would behave when her salary stopped being the family's safety net. What would he do? How would he step up? The result was predictable, but no less depressing. Not the slightest attempt to find additional income. No desire to take responsibility for the family. Just endless excuses. Promises to figure something out, and the secret: Mom will help if anything. 2 weeks to see the true face of the man I married. She smiled bitterly to herself. Well, at least there are no more illusions. Speaking of Mom, her voice became deceptively calm. You know what your precious mother told me today? Apparently, you've been regularly giving her money from our budget. Essentially, my money, since I'm the one heir in this family. Daniel went pale. Oh, she told you? Yes. Can you believe it? She came demanding money for a new microwave. Said you always helped it before. Oh, Victoria, listen. No. You listen, she finally let her anger show. You gave your mother money that I earned, while she was trash-talking me and lecturing me about life, without even discussing it with me. Look, I don't mind helping, but not like this. Don't you really understand why this is wrong?" Daniel slumped back in his chair as if all the air had been let out of him. "She's my mom." "No, I don't understand. So what now?" he asked dully. Now listen carefully." Victoria perched on the armrest of his chair. "I'm going back to work, and will hustle as long as I can. During this time, we need to save up an emergency fund to get from a maternity leave. I'm taking control of all finances. No more secret transfers to mom. And most importantly, you need to shield me from Tamara's lectures. Otherwise, I can't be responsible for my actions. And if I don't agree," his voice took on whiny notes. "Then divorce," she replied simply. "I love you, Dan, but I won't let myself become both a cash cow and a punching bag." In the silence that followed, you could hear the wall clock ticking. "Oh, okay, I agree." Daniel quickly said and reached for his laptop. "Listen, do we still have anything left? It's just that Mom really is without a microwave. She has to reheat everything in a pan. Maybe we could look on eBay?" Victoria silently left the room. The next day she returned to the office, where another surprise awaited her. Marcus was waiting for her at the office entrance, leaning against his black car. His gaze slid over her figure, lingering slightly on her belly. "Oh, welcome back, Mommy," he smiled, holding out a coffee cup. "Good to see you. You've become even more feminine. It suits you. I like it." Victoria wanted to respond sharply, but stopped herself. For the first time, she looked at her boss with different eyes. A successful, confident man. Yes, married. Yes, 2 kids, but at least he knows how to earn money and doesn't hide behind his mother's skirt. "You're completely crazy," Victoria said slowly, but without her usual conviction. That evening, she came home unusually late. Daniel was already asleep, curled up with his laptop. A note from her mother-in-law lay on the kitchen table, something about how a real wife should cook dinner for her husband. Victoria, now without any emotions, crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash. She went to the window and stared at the night city for a long time. Somewhere out there, in one of those houses, Marco's children were sleeping. Somewhere out there, his wife might also be standing at a window, thinking about her husband. And here, in this apartment, her own husband was sleeping. So familiar and so useless. Her hand automatically rested on her belly, where her future child was peacefully sleeping. "I'm sorry, little one," she whispered. "Sometimes moms have to make tough decisions. But I promise, you'll never want for anything."